The upcoming UFC match involving former WWE superstar Phil Brooks, better known as CM Punk, has garnered a lot of attention, much of it negative from fans that see no place for a performer from a fake sport in the very real combat sport of mixed martial arts. Those fans are apparently unaware of the deep roots MMA shares with professional wrestling, something CM Punk himself has commented on when he said MMA is pro wrestling, a statement that has some basis in fact. While most fans think mixed martial arts started at the first Ultimate Fighting Championship in 1993, this is not true. LA Times columnist Howard Rosenberg's review of UFC 1 makes it clear that mixed martial arts predates the event. While there have been numerous sports throughout history that could be called MMA, which is defined as a combat sport that allows striking, grappling, and submissions, the modern version has its beginnings in the early 20th century. At that time, Japanese jiu-jitsu proponents were just arriving in the West, introducing their discipline to a new and curious audience. One means of doing so was with challenge matches against Western martial arts like boxing, savate, and catch-as-catch-can wrestling. Since both jiu-jitsu and catch-as-catch-can wrestling allow for submission holds and both have a tradition of no-holds-barred style challenge matches, they became the two most common disciplines in the mixed matches that started to spring up. And since the public had an interest in it, pro wrestling promoters quickly started offering these new type of matches to the paying public. These matches, which often allowed for punching, kicking, wrestling, and submissions, everything found in mixed martial arts, went by numerous names, including mixed competitions, all-in wrestling, jiu-jitsu wrestling, and anything goes. Some of the most renowned competitors in these type of contests included boxer Sam McVeigh, wrestlers Charles Olson, Ad Santel, and George Botner, and jiu-jitsu masters Tokuguro Ito and Mitsui Maeda. Maeda, after years of traveling on the professional wrestling circuit, would bring these matches to Brazil, where he settled to teach jiu-jitsu. Amongst his students was Carlos Gracie, who in turn taught jiu-jitsu to the rest of his brothers, giving rise to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. When professional wrestling transformed from the shoot era into work performances after the First World War, real wrestling matches ended, but ironically, the new style of fake matches, known as slam-bang Western style, used the rules from all-in or anything goes fights, incorporating strikes and submission into the sport, even if it was now staged. And while professional wrestling was becoming theater in Europe and the United States, mixed martial arts contests continued in Brazil, thanks in part to the Gracie family. There they were known as Vale Tudo, which translates from Portuguese to English as anything goes. Meanwhile, professional wrestling would become very popular in Japan. There, the idea of presenting it as realistically as possible would become the popular style. Top catch-as-catch-can experts like Carl Gotch and Billy Robinson would be brought in to train Japanese wrestlers, while stars like Antonio Inoki would engage in style versus style matches. Eventually, some wrestlers, including Matsukatsu Funaki, would try to engage in real matches using pro wrestling rules, which were basically identical to MMA rules. This is what gave birth to Japanese MMA and the promotions Pancrase, Shudo, Rings, and eventually Pride. In 1993, Horian Gracie, along with his partner Art Davie, would launch the Ultimate Fighting Championship, during which younger brother Hoist Gracie and Ken Shamrock met in a battle between Vale Tudo and Puroresu Shoot Wrestling, the two descendants of the professional wrestling anything-go matches of the early 20th century. MMA had now returned to the United States, and when CM Punk enters the cage, he will be continuing the long tradition of pro wrestling in mixed martial arts.